What in the actual heck happened to 2024 that it is already December? Does anybody else know? Because I don't know, and I'd love to know where this year went. That's dramatic, but because we're in December, I have been very reminiscent recently about all of the reading I've been doing this past year, which has brought me to think about all of the reading I've ever done in my life ever. In my life, my reading has kind of taken place at two completely different points in time. The time where I am now, and then I would say like 5 to 7 years ago when I was in like third through sixth grade. I was a bookworm. If you saw me in the hallway, cafeteria, after school, lunch, literally anywhere, I was reading. Literally all the time. And I thought that it would be kind of fun to go back and reminisce on books that I think have made a significant impact in my reading throughout the years. And because I am sentimental, I have held on to some of those books from my third, fourth, through fifth grade years, and that is where we are going to start our reading journey for today. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I picked up this book, but I do remember, even just looking at the cover, that it changed my life. Do I remember exactly what this book is about? Absolutely not. It's been like 7 years since I've read it. However, I do know that I poured myself into these pages and sat up with it at night, completely loved it. And if we were talking to like 8-year-old me, it would have gotten 5 stars. And that book is going to be Remarkable by Lizzie Foley. Like I said, I can't actually remember what happens in the pages of this book, but I do remember that this right here is our main character. Don't remember her name. And she lives in pretty much fairy tale land, and yet she doesn't have like a power, or she's not a princess, and something along those lines. Therefore, of course, she is our main antagonist, and we go around with her and go on a little adventure, I believe. And honestly, I feel like this moment right now is one that I would love to go back to being 8 or 9 years old and diving back into a world that is comforting and familiar, yet so new to me at the ripe old age of 18. So with that, our first read of this video and my reminiscent reading journey is going to be Remarkable, and I hope that you are ready to dive into the book just like I am. Hello and good morning. So I went ahead and spent quite a while reading our book last night, Remarkable by Lizzie Foley. I am officially 10 chapters into this book, and the love that I have for it is coming back, and it is coming back tenfold. Like I said, I read this book when I was in grade school, and because it was so long ago, I didn't really remember anything about the plot except for that she is like this plain Jane girl in a very remarkable place. And that's exactly what this is. Her name is actually Jane, and she lives in Remarkable with all these people who are remarkable for something. But I forgot that it's really not that fantasy-esque as I thought it was going to be. For whatever reason, I was thinking they were extraordinary in the magical sense, but it's really not. For example, she has two siblings, her older brother and her younger sister. Her older brother is really, 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 really good at painting, and her younger sister is really, really good at math and logic and statistics and stuff like that. So it's people who are like ordinary but are like really cool for something, like Albert Einstein's of our world, but it's the entire town. You get it? But as I've started reading this again, I kind of remember the plot and where it's gonna go, and I like, obviously it's been so long and I could have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure I know where this plot goes. So far, she has made friends with the Grimlet twins and has met this pirate, and then there's this thing with the jelly, and that really only makes sense if you read the book. But I'm liking it. I really am, and I think that I'm going to sit down and finish it because obviously it doesn't take me that long. I don't think there's going to be much to note about this book just because I did read it when I was in grade school. I feel like I don't need to sit here and divulge all of my thoughts with you because you're probably not going to read it, but it still formed me as a reader. So, without further ado, I think I'm gonna go finish Remarkable, and then we can talk about my thought once I have finished our lovely doubly book. Oh my gosh, do I understand why I liked this book so much as a kid. I finished reading Remarkable last night, and all of the memories of being so happy and reading this book as a kid just like came over me, and I was feeling the vibes, and I was just like fully enjoying myself. I love the atmosphere that this book creates and the characters and how they're all interconnected, and while everybody seems super duper remarkable and important to the story, they are on some level, but they're also just living their own individual lives. I think this book is a wonderful example of everyone is the main character in their own story, and really that's it. Like, sure, you can play a role in someone's life, but in their life you really are not a main character. You get what I'm saying? Like, this book fully encapsulates how being special and remarkable is not always a good thing, and I think that that's also beautiful beautiful little, what do you call it, takeaway from the book. Anyway, I really enjoyed Remarkable, just like I did when I was a kid. However, because I am now 18, it didn't pack quite the same punch, which I wasn't expecting it to, but I think it's so funny to know that I was in love with this book as a kid, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, okay, move on. Like, it's okay. With that being said, I did give Remarkable a 3 out of 5 stars because while it's not the most, outstanding story in the world, it holds a special place in my childhood heart, and I did enjoy it when I read it now. So, good job, Remarkable. But with that, we are officially moving on to the next era of my life, reading-wise, which is going to be when I was in middle school. My reading habits definitely tapered off a little bit when I hit middle school because I was having a really hard time with school in general, but I still loved going to like scholastic book fairs, picking up books, the library. Like, I still did all that, but definitely not to the extreme that I was doing when I was in elementary school. Nonetheless, one of the series that I picked up that I absolutely adored at that point in my life was the Blackthorn Key series by Kevin Sands. The first book is The Blackthorn Key, the second is Mark of the Plague, and then the third one is The Assassin's Curse. I have only ever read through the third book of this series, but I now believe there are like 6 or 7 of them. And since this is the last official book that I read cover to cover, I figured it would be absolutely wonderful to revisit the series together. If you are familiar with me and my content on this channel, I have talked about this series multiple times over. I love it. These books take place in the 1600s where we follow Christopher Rowe, who is an apothecary's apprentice, and a couple of friends that he meets through the first few books. And it's just the adventures that they go on, And I don't mean like kid-style adventures. I mean they are solving like adult-level crimes, and it's so much fun. I like cherish this series so much. Like, I love it so much. Like I said, I have read this book before, and I do roughly remember what the plot is, but I can't remember the outcome. I'm sure that once I open it again, a couple of the dots are going to connect and be like, oh, I remember this and this and that. But for right now, I'm just remembering like a couple of things that happened, Nonetheless, this is a series that I still recommend to people to this day. So I'm thinking that we are going to stop and talk to each other a little bit more for this one than we did with Remarkable. I am so incredibly excited to dive back into this world. So without further ado, I think it is time to do just that. Let us start my wonderful reread of The Assassin's Curse by Kevin Sands. It is the next evening, and I apologize for talking so quietly. I think I'm getting a cold because my throat and me are not on the same page of how we are supposed to be speaking. Because of that, speaking really, really hurts, so I think this is going to be the only time I talk to you guys tonight. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But I started reading The Assassin's Curse last night. I got 106 pages into it, and this book is actually split up into days, so I read like the first 2 day sections, and I'm falling in love with this all over again. Obviously, the whole point of this video is that I'm reading books I've already read, so I have already read this. I am remembering like a couple more little details about the plot and the characters and the adventure that they go on, and I am so excited to go on this adventure with them again. There's really nothing I can say about, oh my gosh, I think it's this and this and this, because it's mystery, because I already know. And even though I don't really know yet, like nothing's clicking yet, I'm just like excited to dive back into it, I think this video is actually making it really clear to me that I have a really hard time articulating my thoughts on books I've already read because they're like about the plot and I can't share it. I think this just feels a lot weirder than normal because normally I'm like, I think this is gonna happen. I'm loving the plot so far, loving the characters so far, but like you obviously already know that I love the plot and I love the characters because I love this series. And I'm going back and reading books that changed my perspective on reading as a human, So I feel like it's really hard for me to say, oh, but I don't like this. No, there's nothing that I don't like. I can tell you right now this is gonna be a 5-star read. That plain and simple. But like I said, I am coming down with a cold, so I'm gonna go curl up on my couch with a blanket, some chicken noodle soup, hot chocolate, my tabs, my markers, and a pen. And this book, you'll have a lovely little time over there. Anyhow, I'm happy. I'm ready to dive back in, and I'm gonna go do just that. So, let's get back to reading The Assassin's Curse.
Okay, hello and welcome back to Book Time Together. I am still getting over being sick, but I am actually at the point where I can talk again, which is great. So I thought that we could rejoin and talk about the book that I finished, The Assassin's Curse. And I actually tabbed it on this read through, and I want to show you because I love this part of books, and I just think maybe you want to see it with your eyes too. But like I said, I finished The Assassin's Curse, and man, I love this series. Obviously, the whole point of this video is that I'm rereading books, and I would not change that for the world. I'm so happy that I'm rereading the series again. And I'm so happy that I still have so much love for this book and this series as I did when I was a kid. Like, I love it so much. If it wasn't obvious, The Assassin's Curse got a 5 out of 5 stars for me, once again, in my adult life. Like, guys, I can't even explain it to you. It's 1600s mysteries in New England and London. This one takes place in, like, Paris, France. But, like, gosh, you know? I don't think I can put into words just how much I love this series and how much I'm going to recommend it until the day that I die. I really can't. I love seeing our characters in this book again. I love seeing the plot flesh out, and I loved remembering little plot details along the way as I was reading it. Because going into The Assassin's Curse, I didn't remember how it ended, but I remembered, and it was so good. But like I said, The Assassin's Curse by Kevin Sands got a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Which leads us to our last and final book that we are going to be reading together today, which is going to be Lightlark by Alex Aster. I am actually really looking forward to rereading this, like a lot. For those of you who don't know, I got back into reading as much as I'm reading now back in January of 2023. So literally almost 2 years ago. And this is the book that brought me back. This is the book. It was recommended to me by TikTok, as I'm sure you've probably seen it on there too. And it enthralled me so much that I actually picked it up from Target when we were on a trip to Target, because I didn't go to Barnes & Noble then, and I read it. It took me 2 months, I think, to get through this book, but I read it. And once I did, I had my spark for reading back. Quite embarrassing for me. When looking back on this book, I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. I remember most, if not all, of the plot points in this book because it was only 2 years ago, but I feel like I'm still missing key elements that are going to determine if I love or hate this book again. You get what I'm saying? Like, I remember being so mad at the way the romance triangle was going and just wasn't caring about the plot and just wanted that romance. And I have a feeling I'm still going to feel that way about the love triangle if it keeps going this way. I don't know. She's written 2 more books, and I do have them, which is why we're reading this. Because I need to remember what happens in here before we go on to finish the series. And obviously, I get to reread this. In the 2 years that I've been back to reading, I've read almost 200 books, so I'm very excited to come back and see if this still holds 5-star for me, because I don't know. I really don't know if it's going to. Nonetheless, I think it is officially time to dive back into revisit, I guess, the world of Lightlark. I'm very excited to do so. Let's go read Lightlark! Okay, it is officially time for our first book update. Rereading Lightlark. That's what I'm doing. I'm rereading Lightlark. This is Lightlark. Holy cow. I believe I am a little under 40% of the way through this book. I've read 21 chapters. I was going to check in with you on chapter 20, but it ended on a cliffhanger, so I read 1 more. And now we're here. When I first picked up this book and started reading like chapters 1 through 5, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally remember what happens in this book. Like, big plot point wise, like, I know what we're doing. And it's all still semi-fresh in my mind. And since I started reading this again, I actually put it, in my Goodreads as currently reading. And I don't know why I said that I rated this 5 stars. I did not. Maybe I thought that I did, because when I first started reading again, I was rating everything 5 stars, but this did not get 5 stars. It got 3 from me. Just a solid 3, I think. And I'm gonna be so honest with you when I say that this might actually be better on the second read through, which I was not expecting. First off, because I thought I rated it 5 stars and I was thinking I would get maybe a 3.5 from this, which that part is rating true. I'm currently sitting at about a 3.5 if I were to rate it right now, but I'm literally only 40% of the way in, so tis what tis. I will say though, now that I've been reading for almost 2 years since picking this up for the first time, I do not like this writing as much as I do some other authors. And it's not that this writing is bad. It is not by any means. It is definitely just not what I read now, if that makes sense. Like, it's not poorly written. It's not, oh my gosh, you know what it is? This is in first person perspective. I cannot tell you the last time that I read a book in first person perspective from just one character. No, because seriously, or am I dumb? Is that not the issue? I don't know. I just feel like I have a different connection with this character than I do my other main characters that I read with, if that makes sense. Like I said, that's not to say it's bad. It's just definitely been an adjustment period, if you will. But I'm still working my way through it. Like I said, only 40% of the way through. And I'm waiting to get to like this part of the book, right? I still have all of this to get through. I remember most of this, if what I'm thinking is correct, right? I remember most of the ending. What I don't remember is where we end off. Because I just read the part where the pairs have been picked for the kingdoms that are going to be working together in Cential. Is it called the Cential? Centilial? Whatever the heck. And I know what her and her partner are doing, Isla, our main girl. I know what they're doing. That's stuck in my brain. What I can't remember is what they do with that information. So I am just hoping to burn through, honestly, like the next, is it 200 pages? Yeah, almost 200 pages. So I can read like the last 100 and get back on the right track for reading Nightbane and Skyshade. Bottom line, still very much enjoying this. So much so. Oh, and actually while we're here, I'd like to show you this. Let me go grab it. I am someone who likes to collect special editions of books, so I actually have the collector's edition of Lightlark. If you haven't seen it, this is what it looks like. It is literally stunning. And on the inside jacket, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. If I flip, I'm being so careful because I do not want to rip these pages, but there is character art for each of the characters in the back of this. And it's important that I tell you this before I show you what I want to show you. But in the book, I believe it's 4 out of our 6 main characters are supposed to be like these ancient people. They've been alive for hundreds of years and they've done this Cential before, right? So in my mind, on my first read through of the book, Grimm and Oro, if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Grimm was like a handsome young man because he is presented as the love interest, and I was there for it, and I was so excited for it. Oro, in my mind, was this old man who had like this big beard and like scraggly hair and just like old beyond his years, okay? So that's not apparently what he looks like. This is what he looks like. So on my second read through of this, I'm trying to imagine him as this, as a man who looks like Isla's age. Did you get what I'm saying? Because in my brain it was her and Grimm. And I was so there, and I was so okay with that, that I didn't even think about Oro. And I'm not here to give anything away, okay? But all of the characters are like young and attractive, apparently. All this to say, Oro in my brain is still a very old man, and Grimm is still like 20 years old, running around with shadow magic. Alex Astor, I'm very sorry. I can't change. I tried. They're in my brain, and that is unfortunately how they stuck. He does flicker back and forth between having like really shaggy hair and like fluffy hair, though, if that makes you feel any better. I'm sorry. Anyhow, I thought that was funny, and I wanted to show you the cool character art just in case you don't have the collector's edition of this. It's so pretty. It's got like this cute little box. Oh, I love it. Okay, but that was my update. I am going to continue reading. I don't know how many chapters were in this. Let me check. I was gonna say I'm gonna read till chapter 60, but I don't even know if there's 60. There's not. There's only 56 chapters. Interesting. You know what? Maybe I'll read through 50, because then I'll have about 100 left. A little bit less, actually. That's like perfect. Yeah. Unless something crazy happens that I don't remember, we will reconvene when I read chapter 51, which is like a good chunk of the book. But since I've already read it, it doesn't make sense to revisit and be like, so this happened, because I'm not talking about it. No spoilers here. No spoilers. Alrighty. I'm yapping too much. Let me go back to reading Lightlark. There are lies and liars all around you, and there were lies and liars all in this book, and I forgot about some of this. I did forget. So I am exactly where I said I was going to be. My next chapter is chapter 51. I have about 50 pages left of the book. And my god. Oh my gosh. I literally marked something that I wanted to talk about, and now I can't find it because I just pulled out my second bookmark. Hold on. I don't want to talk about the like thing itself, but I just need like the freaking section that it takes place on. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Chapter 38? Chapter 38. chapter 38. Oh my god. I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot that that character is kind of a dunderhead. I'd also just like to point out that at this point in the book, we are romancing more in our plot. Meaning there's more romance in our plot, and brother. Now that I know Oro is not like a 500-year-old man, like, and he doesn't look ancient and decrepit, I can kind of see it, you know, like I can kind of see it. That's not to say I don't like Grimm though. I'm torn. I'm like genuinely torn. I have never been torn before when it comes to relationships and books. Like, I've never been, oh, you know what? That's a lie. The Inheritance games had me almost feeling the same way between, what are the dudes' names? Grayson and Jameson? Jackson. It was something with a J. But I don't know what way the romance is gonna go. I don't think we get any more answers in this book, except for that one giant thing that I know is coming. But I think there's another part of the plot that ties to that giant thing, and I can't remember what that is. These next 50 pages are going to be interesting. I am in fact scared. 70 chapters left, 55 pages, and I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm gonna go find out now because it'll maybe take me an hour to read it. And who needs sleep? I don't look dead. I don't look tired. Light Lark. Brain empty. No thoughts. I'm gonna finish this, and then we'll come back and reconvene for the final time.
Hi. You good? I don't even know where to start. I finished Light Lark, and I remember the entire ending. There were a couple of little details that I didn't remember from my first read through of this, but I got all the major plot points in the last 50 pages, and I don't know if I feel better or worse than the first time that I read this. Rereading this book is truly like just phenomenal to my brain and my processing, because this is the book that got me back into reading 2 years ago at this point. This is like my holy grail, you know? Rereading it after not remembering like any of it, if I'm honest with myself, it's a phenomenal feeling, because it almost had the feeling of reading a book for the first time. You know how people always say, oh, I would love to read this series again for the first time. It almost had that feeling, except I had the prior knowledge that I would love it. You get what I'm saying? I don't even know how to put into words revisiting this world has made me feel. Like, obviously I would have revisited it anyways when in reading books 2 and 3, but as someone who doesn't really reread books often, funnily enough, this is making me want to do it more, and that's scary. And that's bad, dude. My TBR is so long. I don't need to be rereading books. I really don't think I'm in the exact same situation right now that I was when I finished this the first time. It's currently like 1 o'clock in the morning, and all I want to do is pick up the second book. And at the time of me reading it the first time, the second book wasn't out. So I picked up a different series, and then I read those, and then I picked up another series, and I read those. And it's led me here 2 years later, and it's a weird feeling. It's a really weird feeling. I know I keep bringing up the fact that this book is like my holy grail. I know I keep saying that this book is the book that got me back into reading and all of those wonderful, lovely things, and that it's led me to where I am today, but like genuinely rereading that and feeling that feeling of, oh my gosh, I want to read another adventure from the same book. I can't even describe it to you, dude. I literally can't even, oh my gosh. It's like so reminiscent, but also an almost familiar feeling, because I still read books to this day that are like, oh my gosh, I just want to read another book after that. You know what I'm saying? But this one is special to me, like more than I think I'll ever realize. I am talking about this book a lot, but I haven't really divulged its contents with you. So let's have a quick little plot recap, shall we? Without giving away anything, I am not upset with how this book ended by any means. Not as upset as I was for my first read through. At the end of reading it the first time, I was so mad at the way that the romance went. I was so mad that it clouded my judgment for like the end of the book entirely. But now that I'm seeing all of our characters on the same age playing field, thank you character art, and B, I reread it with the knowledge of knowing what was going to happen. at the end. I think I have a new appreciation for the end of this book, if I'm honest with myself, because I had to sit there with all the facts laid out and I wasn't just blinded by pure rage that Isla and dude weren't together. You get what I'm saying? I actually got to appreciate all that Isla both gained and lost in the end, and how that's going to affect our world moving forward. Oh gosh. There are so many different ways that these books could go. Oh gosh. Wow. Okay. I also want to say a couple of other things, because I'm a blabbermouth and I have more things to blab about. While I do love this book, and it's giving me reminiscent feelings and all of that, I do still have an issue with it, or I guess maybe two. First off is pacing. What is the pacing in this book? I feel like it's non-existent. I don't feel like any parts were dragged out too much, but I actually kind of feel like the opposite. I feel like in certain places things could have been explained more, or chapter transitions could have been a little bit more, I guess maybe seamless is the right word, because in one chapter we would end in one scene and then the beginning of the next chapter would be like, and the next day, and we would go and do something else. And while that's fine, if there's nothing wrong with that, after seeing it so many times, it's kind of like, okay. Adding to that, you definitely know that going in. Yeah. Adding to that, the amount of times the word powerless is used in this book peeves me. It makes me so upset. Like, girl, we get it. She's the special one. And she's special because she's not special. Like, we understand. And literally every time I would read that, I would only think of the book by Lauren Roberts, Powerless. And I was like, this is not helpful. This is just so incredibly unhelpful and not at all related to what I'm reading. This is not what I need to be thinking about right now. But no, like, I genuinely want to know, like, I don't know exactly what it is because I don't write books, but I know there's like little Control-Alt something you can do when you're writing. You can see how many times you used one word. I want to know how many times the word powerless is used in Lightlark. And even more so than that, I wonder if powerless is used more in Lightlark than it is in the book Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I actually haven't read Powerless yet, so I could be just like completely out there with it. But like the title's Powerless. You get what I'm saying? I was just like, wow, she's like she really don't got nothing going for her. Like, nothing. I think that's it. I think that's my final thought, is that if I have to read the word powerless one more time in this book, oh brother, oh, I'm gonna lose it. But with that, I finished it. I finished my reading adventure for this week, this day, this time together, and it was a great time. Thanks for coming with me. I literally totally, oh my gosh. So I am already trying to transition to the outro, but can I first just tell you that I am going to give Lightlark a 4 out of 5 stars. That's like my concluding thought. I am so not here right now. I am partly in this book and I am partly in Sleepland, so I apologize. Wow. I don't think I've ever filmed like an end of video outro like this before. Being this tired and this not here, I apologize. We have reached the end of our time together today. Officially. I cannot wait to read Nightbane and Skyshade. However, I do have to wait like 2 weeks because it's still December and those two books are on my 2025 TBR. Spoilers. Oh shoot, that actually like is genuine spoilers. That video doesn't come out until next week. That's fine. My content schedule, like in real life for me, is actually so crazy right now because I'm not in school. So I am filming content like crazy. And my brain can't keep it straight. I apologize. That there's a little fun tidbit of information for you. I don't really know what I'm doing. Shocker, I know. Okay, I'm sorry. I really need to stop just yapping. This is not supposed to be like a, oh, sit here and yap with me for 20 minutes. No. Outro. Thanks for being here with me today. I genuinely had so much fun filming this, and I hope that you had some fun revisiting some of my more impactful reads with me. Maybe this inspired you to go back and read some of yours if you're not a rereader. I'm not a rereader, but this was fun. This was a lot of fun. Anyways, I hope that your book worlds treat you just as well as mine treat me. Until we get to see each other next Wednesday for our wonderful next reading adventure. I really hated how I put those English words together. I'm not gonna try again. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will speak to you next time. Bye!